We're heading into another weekend, and it feels like we're slowly trundling towards that big match against Kilmarnock. A game where if things go well, we might not just bag another 3 points, but potentially clinch the league title right then and there. It's a bit of a strange feeling, honestly, because while we all know that a win on Saturday would essentially make us champions, there's this odd sense of uncertainty hanging in the air. We're so close yet so far. It's that mix of excitement and anxiety that seems to surround us these days, especially when it feels like the season could go one way or the other. We've been here before, haven't we? In the past, these moments of glory often came with that nervous energy, that burning hope. But now we're almost on the verge of what should be a monumental celebration. But it's hard to ignore the underlying feeling that something is off. There's this strange sense of anticlimax building up. Sure, we might win the title this weekend, and we'd all feel ecstatic about it. The 55th league title 4 years in a row, a dream for any football fan. But it's hard to shake the feeling that it won't feel as special as it should. Maybe it's the weariness, or maybe it's the fact that the team seems like they're mentally already in summer mode. It's like we're already at the finish line, but we've lost a bit of the magic along the way. Now, this might sound a bit strange, but if you were given a choice, would you want to win the league this weekend, even if that means not even being on the pitch when it happens? Or would you rather wait a couple of weeks until after the split, knowing that we can seal the deal ourselves with all of us present watching it unfold in real time? It's a tricky question, but I'd love to know where you stand. If you don't really care either way, it's perfectly fine. This is a safe space. No judgment here. But let's shift gears for a bit and talk about a few things that have caught my attention lately. It's been a while since I've done a good old-fashioned roundup of news, and a couple of stories really jumped out at me this morning. First up, let's talk about Kieran Tierney. He's been on my mind for a while, especially with the recent developments surrounding his future at Arsenal. I'll admit I'm a bit conflicted when it comes to him. It's not the morning for me as I write this, but hopefully by the time you're reading, it'll be morning for you. Arsenal has been doing well lately, and while I can't stand Mikel Arteta, and this probably hasn't been a secret for anyone who's followed my past videos, I've got a bit of a complicated relationship with the whole situation. It's not just because Arteta is an ex-player who never really stood out to me. It's not even about his allegiances or his decisions with Kieran Tierney. I mean, Arteta's treatment of Tierney has been pretty questionable at times, and it's hard not to feel for Kieran in that situation. But beyond that, I'll just find Arteta to be incredibly dull. Honestly, I don't know what it is. He's just one of those figures that doesn't excite me, and I know that might make me sound petty, but I can't help it. So naturally, the thought of him winning something significant, like the Champions League, doesn't exactly fill me with joy. If anything, it kind of brings me down. But here's the catch. As much as I might not want to see Arteta succeed, it's hard not to feel a little happy for Kieran Tierney, especially with the possibility that he could win the Champions League this season. Arsenal, despite all their flaws, have been doing well. They beat Real Madrid 30 the other night, and now they have one foot firmly planted in the semi-finals of the competition. It's a big achievement, and there's no denying that. Real Madrid, though, have this habit of coming back from the dead, as we've seen countless times in the past. But still, Arsenal's 30 win was a massive result, and it makes me wonder, could they actually do it? Could Kieran Tierney be part of that team that goes on to win the Champions League? Honestly, as much as I have mixed feelings about Arsenal, the idea of Tierney being involved in that sort of success, it almost brings a smile to my face. Now, let's get back to the match. Kieran Tierney came on in the final 10 minutes of Arsenal's game against Real Madrid. He's been playing a lot in that left-wing position lately. And while it might not be his preferred role, he's been doing a solid job when called upon. It's been the same in the recent games, including the one against Everton where he came on and showed just why he's still a valuable asset to the team. He hasn't been playing full matches, but whenever he's on the pitch, he makes a difference. And Arsenal fans have noticed. I spent a bit of time scrolling through social media after the Real Madrid game, and honestly, it was heartwarming to see how much the fans appreciate him. There's a lot of love for Kieran Tierney among the Arsenal faithful, and it's clear that many of them are gutted about the idea of him leaving the club in the summer. Some fans even joked about him potentially coming back to Celtic, and honestly, I don't think that would be the worst thing in the world. A lot of Arsenal fans are hoping he'll stick around, but it seems like the writing is on the wall. He's likely to move on, and Celtic might just be his next destination. The idea of him returning to Celtic Park wearing that iconic green and white jersey again feels right. He's a player who understands the club, understands the standards, and more importantly, understands what it means to represent Celtic. There's something special about Tierney that's hard to ignore. He's not just a talented footballer, he's someone who knows the history, the culture, and what it means to play for the fans. And with Celtic currently struggling in certain areas, bringing someone like Tierney back could be a game changer. Imagine him playing on the left side, again bombing down the wing, delivering those brilliant crosses into the box. It would bring back that edge we've been missing, and his experience in the Premier League could be exactly what we need to elevate the squad. Of course the injury issues are a concern. If Kieran hadn't had the injury problems that slowed him down at Arsenal, there's no doubt in my mind that he'd still be playing at the very top level week in and week out. But that's football. Injuries happen, and it's something we'll have to manage carefully if we do bring him back. Still, I'm optimistic. With proper management, he could be a huge asset for Celtic in the coming years. At the end of the day, no matter how I feel about Arteta or Arsenal seeing Kieran Tierney potentially lift a major trophy, even if it's with a team I'm not fond of, would be a special moment. It would be like seeing an old friend succeed, and honestly, it's hard not to root for him in that sense. Who knows, maybe one day we'll see him lift the Champions League trophy, and that image of him celebrating with that iconic pose, the one after that horrible injury, would be something to remember for years to come. But for now, we wait. We wait for that big match against Kilmarnock, and we wait for what's next in the saga of Kieran Tierney. Wherever he ends up, I know one thing, he'll always have a place in the hearts of Celtic fans, and whatever happens next, I'll always be rooting for him. As we move away from the Kieran Tierney situation, let's touch on some news closer to home, and unfortunately, is not exactly the best news for some. It seems there's been a significant change in Scottish football's officiating scene. I'm sure you've heard the name Alan Muir by now, and unfortunately the news isn't great. After a string of controversial decisions that left a lot to be desired, Muir is no longer a VAR official. Now this might seem like a small shift for some, but when you take a closer look at the series of decisions that led to this point, it's hard to argue that it wasn't deserved. Most notably, the decision that caused the most uproar recently was the goal he ruled out at Easter Road. A goal that, let's face it, nobody could quite figure out why it was disallowed. It seemed like a clear case of a mistaken decision, and the aftermath didn't help matters much. The goal was ruled to have been incorrectly flagged offside, only for it to be later declared a wrong decision after review. But the damage had already been done, the moment had passed, and the game had shifted in a direction it didn't deserve. We'll never know for sure whether the ball was actually in or out, but that's exactly the problem with VAR. Sometimes, it's not just the technology that fails us, but the people operating it. In this case, Muir's intervention was unwarranted, and it ended up costing us. It was one of those moments where you feel like something wasn't quite right, but it's hard to pinpoint exactly what went wrong. And this wasn't the only contentious decision involving Muir. Earlier in the season, there was another instance at Fir Park when Tiger Maeda was involved in a play that seemed like it could have been a penalty. Instead of doing what seemed to be the right thing, Muir gave a free kick the other way. And as always, the key match incident panel later agreed that it was the wrong call. It just keeps adding up, doesn't it? There was also the incident with Sead Haksabanovic last season, where we should have had a penalty in a League Cup match at Rugby Park. That could have been a game changer, but the decision was botched, and once again we were left wondering what the VAR officials were thinking. It's no surprise then that Muir is now out of a job. After being a full-time VAR official for some time, Muir has lost his position and will no longer be calling the shots from the Clydesdale house. While it's tough to see anyone lose their job, especially in such a public way, there's no denying that his tenure as a VAR official has been marred by mistakes. Some of these calls were crucial, and they've left lasting frustration in their wake. I can't help but think that in some ways Muir might be regretting his decision to leave the pitch and become a VAR official. At least as a regular referee, there were fewer opportunities for mistakes on this scale. But now, as it stands, Muir's future in officiating seems uncertain. He'll still be around in a different capacity though. It's been reported that he may serve as a referee advisor, meaning he'll be watching and judging other officials. Ironically, this could be the perfect role for him, considering how often he's been on the receiving end of criticism for his own decisions. So will we see an improvement in officiating with Muir's departure? It's hard to say. It's one of those things where change doesn't always guarantee a better outcome. There are still the likes of Andrew Dallas and Greg Aiken who remain as full-time VAR officials, and while they might have their strengths, they too have been involved in some questionable calls. Refereeing in Scottish football is an ongoing challenge, and it's clear that there's still a lot to be done to ensure these mistakes don't keep happening. But as we move on from officiating, let's switch to another subject that's been making headlines recently: the sad news of Charlie Mulgrew losing his job as a manager at Celtic Hearts. Now, when I first heard the news, I have to admit I was a bit surprised. I didn't even realize Mulgrew was managing anywhere, and the fact that he was in charge at Celtic Hearts was news to me. He'd only been there for a short while just since January, and after 11 games, he ended up resigning from his post. Out of those 11 games, he managed to win only one, and the rest were a mix of disappointing results. It's a tough gig being a manager, and sometimes things just don't click. Mulgrew is no different in that regard, and it's a shame to see his time at Celtic Hearts come to such an abrupt end. That being said, I've always been a fan of Charlie Mulgrew. As a player, he was solid, reliable, and an important figure in Celtic's defense for many years. It's sad to see him struggle in his first management role, but it's important to remember that not all managers are successful right off the bat. Some of the best managers in history had tough starts to their managerial careers, and Mulgrew could still have a future in the game. Who knows? Maybe he'll end up in a role within Celtic, perhaps with the B team, or something similar. I think he has the experience and knowledge to offer something valuable, even if management wasn't the right fit for him. It's just a shame that things didn't work out at Celtic Hearts, and I hope this setback doesn't deter him from staying involved in football in some capacity. Finally, let's wrap up with some news that might be of interest to anyone who's planning to attend the upcoming game at Hampden. Yes, I'm talking about the St. Johnstone match next week. Now, the game this weekend against Kilmarnock is important, but we also have our eyes on next Sunday's Cup semi-final. Celtic Park might be sold out for the Kilmarnock game, but next week, there's an opportunity for more fans to get tickets for the St. Johnstone game, as tickets for the match will be going on general sale. This is pretty rare for Cup games at Hampden, as tickets are typically hard to come by. But with the current form of the team and the fact that St. Johnstone aren't exactly the most exciting team to face, it seems like the ticket sales have been a bit slower than usual. If you're a non-season ticket holder and have been struggling to get tickets for Cup matches in the past, this could be your chance. The tickets will be available starting from 1,000 a.m. this Wednesday, so if you want to secure a spot in the stadium, be sure to log on and try your luck. The game might not have the same level of excitement as other fixtures, but it's still a big one, and it could be an important step towards winning another trophy. The prices for tickets range from $20 for concessions to $40 for adults in the north and south stands. The east and west stands, which offer great views, are priced at $30 for adults and $15 for concessions. While the game might not be as glamorous as some others, it's still an important match for Celtic, and the fans will need to turn up to give the team the support they deserve. That's all the news for now. I'll be back soon with more updates. And hopefully we'll have some good news to discuss after the weekend's match. Until then, enjoy the game, stay safe, and keep supporting Celtic. Things might not always go perfectly, but we're in this together, and we'll keep pushing forward, no matter what. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. In a story that seems pulled straight from the pages of Football Fantasy, rumors have erupted across European media this week, suggesting that Cristiano Ronaldo could be preparing for one last fairy tale run in the UEFA Champions League. And not with one of the usual giants, instead the name turning heads. Celtic FC, yes, the iconic green and white of Glasgow's legendary club, could soon be worn by the man who redefined greatness in modern football. With his contract at Al Nassr set to expire in 2025, whispers of a sensational move to Scotland have left fans stunned and curious in equal measure. Sources close to Ronaldo's entourage hint at a deep personal desire to play one final Champions League season in 2026, a last dance on the grandest European stage. But why Celtic? Some insiders believe the Portuguese legend is drawn to the club's rich history, passionate support, and the opportunity to leave a lasting legacy in a league he's never conquered. It's not about money anymore, they say. It's about legacy, challenge, and a chance to bow out on his own terms, far from the spotlight of Madrid, Manchester, or Turin. Should the move materialize, it would mark one of the most astonishing transfers in the history of Scottish football, possibly in the sport as a whole. Celtic, regularly dominant in the Scottish Premiership and frequent Champions League participants, have long been searching for a player who could ignite a new era. Ronaldo's arrival would be transformative, not just on the pitch, but commercially, emotionally, and culturally. Imagine Champions League nights at Celtic Park with Ronaldo leading the line. Goosebumps guaranteed. The 39-year-old striker remains a physical phenomenon. With 54 goals in 2023 and a record-breaking season in the Saudi Pro League, Ronaldo has shown little sign of slowing down. His hunger for competition and trophies burns as fiercely as ever. Adding a Scottish League title and a potential Champions League run with Celtic to his already unparalleled trophy cabinet could be the kind of historic ending his career deserves. And the fans, they're already dreaming. Murals, chants, shirt sales. Glasgow would never be the same. Neither Ronaldo nor Celtic have made any official statement, but the mere possibility has set social media ablaze. Journalists, pundits, and supporters across the globe are watching closely. Will Cristiano Ronaldo, the most followed, most decorated, and arguably most iconic player of the 21st century, write his final chapter in the footballing theatre of Celtic Park? If the stars align, 2026 could bring one of the most unforgettable moments in Champions League history. Hello, fan! Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.